right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Tonight, stop the car wash. Neighbors unite to pump the brakes on the car dealer's development.
Another Ozone Action Day Thursday as this hot, stagnant pattern lingers, when the air quality may improve a bit.
But first tonight, a restaurant owner shot to death on the job.
It's really shocking to me. I'm gonna pray for their family.
Another man also shot is in the hospital as detectives work to find the suspects.
That story in a moment, but let's begin with a live look at the Capitol, where the House has voted to pass the debt ceiling bill. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. House members spent hours today deliberating to avoid the U.S. from defaulting on its bills. The bill will remove the debt ceiling capacity until after the presidential election, but it comes with a price. Student loan borrowers will have to repay their loans this summer until courts decide the fate of the student loan forgiveness program. And people that rely on food stamps will also have to find part-time work or lose that benefit.
First of all, it's a bad deal. I've said it multiple times that I do applaud President Biden and the administration for what they were able to do.
So now we're in a situation where spending will be coming down. And at the end of the day, this is about moving our economy in a better direction.
The House passed the bill with a vote of 314 to 117. The bill now goes to the Senate ahead of Monday's deadline. Tonight, we're learning more about two men who were shot last night outside St. Louis Kitchen, a Chinese restaurant on Kings Highway. One of them died at the scene. The other was taken to the hospital.
The family confirmed with our Laura Barczewski it was the owner of the restaurant who was killed. And she's live outside police headquarters. Laura?
Mike and Ann, the family wasn't able to share much with me because of the language barrier, but they are devastated, and the neighborhood is too.
St. Louis police say they were called to St. Louis Kitchen around 9:45 Tuesday night, where they found two men who'd been shot outside the restaurant.
A 38-year-old Asian male was shot outside of St. Louis Kitchen, located at 819 North Kings Highway. A 56-year-old Asian male was also shot and survived.
According to a police source, the 56-year-old man was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to the leg. The family identified the 38-year-old man who died as Fa Ming Pan, also known as Randy. He owned the restaurant and was loved by many in the neighborhood.
It's really sad because, they was nice to me and my family when we came, so.
That's a big surprise to me because he was a real nice guy. He was very nice, friendly young guy. As a matter of fact, I used to pass him out a few tracts and stuff from my church. And he was very accepting.
People tell us they drive from across town to eat at St. Louis Kitchen, where there is now a small memorial and a sign on the door saying they're closed.
I like their food. And to come up here I was coming up here today to get food. And to hear the news like this is shocking. It's really shocking to me. I'm gonna pray for their family.
Detectives were investigating outside the restaurant Wednesday afternoon and say it's been tough to figure out why this happened because of the language barrier. Customers want answers too.
You hear it so much, you just don't know how to feel about a lot of situations like this because it just shouldn't be happening, but it does. And it's sad. It's a sad situation.
The family tells me they don't know why this happened, and nearby businesses gave their video to police as they are still investigating tonight. Now, if you have any information on this, police ask you to call 314-444-5371. Reporting live from downtown St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
We need to build strong relationships, collaborative relationships with the police. With our local prosecutors.
Tonight, we're sitting down with St. Louis's new circuit attorney just one day after being sworn into office. Gore takes over for Kim Gardner, who resigned earlier this month. She called herself a reform-minded prosecutor, a platform that won her elections twice, but some say one she failed to deliver.
Our Christine Byers asked him some tough questions, and is here to tell us how he's approaching his new role.
Many people are wondering whether the new St. Louis Circuit Attorney will be different than Gardner. I can tell you he spent his second morning in office doing something different, granting one-on-one interviews with reporters who haven't been allowed to question the Circuit Attorney in years.
No question was off limits, and Gore wasn't afraid to admit he doesn't yet have all the answers. He said within the first hour of his appointment Tuesday, he put an attorney in charge of reviewing the thousands of cases his predecessor's administration allowed to pile up in an email account for years. He talked about how important hiring Marvin Teer as the chief trial assistant is. Teer resigned as Kim Gardner's chief trial assistant in March. As for his philosophy on progressive policies Gardner talked about, but some say never delivered, Gore says he wants to take more of a case-by-case kind of approach.
I can tell you this, people who commit violent crimes are going to be prosecuted. That's not something that we're going to back off on in any way at all.
Gore also answered questions about his position on the death penalty, whether he will run for the office in 2024, and whether he's talked to Kim Gardner. You can find our complete interview online at KSDK.com.
Let's take a live look over downtown St. Louis and the beautiful Arch. We are still under an air quality alert this evening as we continue reaching higher temperatures this week. It's been a quiet and calm night despite some of our viewing areas seeing some spotty showers. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with a look at our weather first forecast. Scott.
Yeah, general lack of rainfall across the area will continue. Also a lack of stronger winds, and that's really been holding up the air quality here in the middle part of the country. A lot of us today dealing with orange air quality. That's backing off a little bit this evening. But the reason we're seeing this problem with pollution is the fact that there's just not a lot of wind. Today, over the last 12 hours, the strongest winds we really saw for any sustained amount of time was in the middle of the afternoon with 10 to 13 mile-per-hour winds. So we're going to stick with this unhealthy for sensitive groups category again tomorrow. The main pollutant, of course, is ozone. It peaks after lunchtime through the evening hours. So that's the time when you want to limit your activity outside. And that includes children and teenagers who are active, older adults, and those with lung problems. Reduce that prolonged or heavy exertion for sure as this continues into tomorrow. Now, we don't see much relief on the way for the next couple of days, but there are some changes heading into the weekend that perhaps bring us some slightly cleaner air. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes, Ann.
You can get the Weather First forecast anytime. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has deemed Jana Elementary safe, according to their third and final report. This comes after months of conflicting reports over levels of radioactive contamination in the Hazelwood School District. It sits near Coldwater Creek, which was contaminated by radioactive materials in World War II. Now, the Missouri Coalition for the Environment is trying to hold federal agencies accountable.
It's great that they can come out and say all is fine, all is safe, but the reality is there's a lot of data that we still haven't seen yet.
The Army Corps of Engineers will host a public meeting on Thursday, June 8th to discuss the findings with the community. Tonight, police have arrested a person of interest in the death of 19-year-old Derek Johnson of University City. Police responded to a shooting Monday evening where they found Johnson shot inside his home on Leahy Avenue. Investigators say Johnson was inside playing video games. 19-year-old Marcine Barnett is accused of shooting Johnson after entering his home. Johnson died at the scene. Police have not yet released any formal charges.
Police are also investigating a shooting in North St. Louis. It left a 19-year-old man in critical condition. This was Tuesday. It happened at the 4900 block of Claxton Avenue in the Mark Twain neighborhood. Officers were called to the hospital after the 19-year-old was dropped off after being shot in the back. Investigators say he says he was on his way home from a gas station when he heard shots being fired. Right now, there is no word on any possible suspects or charges. Tonight, police have identified a man found dead by the Mississippi riverfront. Officers responded to a shooting on Lenore K. Sullivan Drive early Monday morning, and that's where they found 42-year-old Michael Kaminsky lying on the sidewalk after being shot in the hip and stomach. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. Anyone with information, please call Crime Stoppers, 866-371-TIPS.
Tonight, BJC Healthcare of St. Louis plans to merge with St. Luke's of Kansas City. The two healthcare systems signed a letter of intent to merge to expand healthcare access for more than 6 million Missouri residents and beyond. The letter was approved by both systems' board of directors. The organizations are working together to advance their vision of becoming the premier Midwest destination for patient care, clinical research, and medical education. Within the past 2 hours, city leaders in Glendale made a decision that's not sitting well with some people who live there.
This is about a proposed car wash. It's at the site of a car dealership, and it's getting preliminary approval to move forward. 5 on your side's Brent Solomon's live at Glendale City Hall to break down the neighbors' concerns. Brent.
We were inside here when the Planning Commission decided it will not stop the Glendale Chrysler dealership from opening up a car wash on its own property on Manchester Road. Now, that's not sitting well with a lot of people who live in this area, but they say their fight isn't over. In fact, it has been an organized effort for quite some time now from people who live directly behind the Chrysler dealership. They're worried that the dealership's request to add a private car wash to its property and possibly expand would hurt their property values. Many are concerned about the neighborhood feel of their town and fear commercialization could strip their hometown feel that they've grown accustomed to. The environment is another concern. Initially, the dealership said it would have to clear nearly 24 trees to accommodate the renovations. The business says it can now accomplish its goal by only clearing out 8 trees. Still, neighbors are up in arms, one of them even capturing audio of a different car wash near people's homes in a different community.
And just ask yourselves, would I want this in my backyard?
The trees and the sound, the quality of life is something that I think is very important and needs to be thought about in terms of not only this issue, but the future of Glendale.
It's not rocket science. It doesn't belong in a neighborhood. The plan is to put a Baldwin-esque, Ellisville-esque, St. Peter's-esque autoplex in the middle of your town and my town, and it ain't right.
Now, the commission listened to all of those concerns. Some of them even had concerns of their own. But in the end, they decided that this plan should be able to move forward, though they believe the city might want to consider limiting the hours of operation for that car wash. The Board of Aldermen will have the final say here.
Former Vice President Mike Pence plans to launch his 2024 presidential campaign next week. He is expected to kick off the campaign with a video and speech on June 7th. Which is also his 64th birthday. Sources say the former vice president will campaign in all 99 Iowa counties before the caucuses. He will join other candidates, including President Biden and former President Donald Trump, for the 2024 election.
Tomorrow is the first day of June and the first day of Pride Month. Pride St. Louis and Six Flags are teaming up to bring back Pride Night at Six Flags. It will take place this Friday from 8 to 11. Pride Night will feature special lighting effects, food, rides, special entertainment, and many more things. You can find more information on our website under the As Seen on TV section. To find other celebrations happening around the area for Pride Month, text the word PRIDE to 314-435-5355, and we'll send you a link. It is graduation season, and young adults are facing adulthood amid high inflation and ongoing recession fears. It can all seem daunting for new grads navigating how to gain control of their finances. In our Making Ends Meet series, Michelle Lee shows us how graduates can set themselves up for success.
Graduates in St. Louis and across the country are entering the real world amid an uncertain U.S. economic outlook.
For current grads or recent grads, it's really important to make sure that you are not too intimidated by that.
Personal financial expert Julie Alma Tavares says a bit of planning now can help new grads gain control of their finances for life, and has these money tips. Number 1, track expenses for at least 6 months to see your habits before creating a new one.
It allows you to see, okay, where's my money actually going? So that I can then, after that period, really start to think about how do I want to strategize in terms of how I spend my money.
2, use the 50-20-30 method, where 50% of your paycheck pays for living expenses, 20% goes to your savings, and the last 30% is for things you enjoy. 3, learn to negotiate your salary. Research how much your role pays and advocate for yourself.
That's going to give you a really great start right from the beginning in terms of salary. That is only going to go up from there.
And finally, create a financial strategy that fits your short-term and your long-term goals. For example, do you want to buy a home in the next year, or do you just want to focus on investing for retirement? It is never too early to plan for the future. Back to you.
Well, today is the last day of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and to celebrate, AAPI leaders met at City Hall for a celebration. The event featured cultural performances, food, music, and more, and our very own Michelle Lee was honored for her activism and work with the Asian American Foundation.
Congrats, Michelle.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell rejoins us now with that weather first forecast and the air quality, the big part of this story.
Yeah, that has been an issue here for several days because we just haven't had much of a breeze. And along with the lack of wind, we've had the warm temperatures around the St. Louis area. And we've also had very dry conditions continuing to develop. So here are the numbers. The month of May coming to a close tonight. 91 was our high today. So when we average everything out, that puts us about 2.3 degrees above average for the month. Yes, we had a few cool days, but more warm than cold for sure. As far as rainfall, wish we could have added some here, but we've had the longest stretch of dry, non-measurable rain during the month of May since back in 1988. 3.21 inches below average. Only a little over 1.5 inches officially in St. Louis. And while you may have had more in your backyard, most of us are still hurting for rainfall around the St. Louis area, especially going north and to the west. We had a couple of spot little showers pop up this afternoon, and we mean spot small showers. Most of it was out to our west or farther to our east. As we go into tomorrow, the chances aren't very good. This is what it looked like in Cahokia Heights with a brief little shower this evening. Emphasis there on brief. This is what it looked like looking from O'Fallon back towards Cahokia. You can see the clouds trying to grow here late this evening as that little shower developed and rolled on through just before the sun was setting in St. Louis, but didn't drop a lot of rain, certainly for most of us. Right now, it's 83 degrees still. Your wind very light. Out of the south-southeast at 7 miles per hour. Dew point's back at 60, so you probably felt it was a little more humid today. That'll be the case again tomorrow, but not your typical summertime steam bath. So it's a little more humid, but not terrible. Temperatures tonight, 60s away from town, near 70 in town. We watched that area out to our west here. Unfortunately, we can't get any of that to shift eastbound, and we're trying to drag some of this moisture off to the east to slide back our way. And there's no real large forcing weather system to kick up showers or thunderstorms. So it's going to be heat driven during the afternoon based on the amount of heat and humidity we have. And again, the humidity is not as high as it could be for this time of year. And it's not going to get any higher this weekend. Your best shots tomorrow afternoon for a scattered shower or thunderstorm in any one spot. And even then, it's pretty isolated. By tomorrow night, things settle down. We go into Friday. There might be a spot shower or a thunderstorm. But notice the other thing here, our winds. They're still very light tomorrow. It's another ozone action day. So the air quality orange tomorrow afternoon. Friday afternoon, Friday evening, we may very well be in the same spot. So we're looking at lighter winds until this weekend. They tend to pick up a little bit, but also picking up the temperatures. Of course, it's going to get loud at the racetrack this weekend. You've got lots going on over at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Saturday, the Toyota Truck 200, and then on Sunday, the Enjoy Illinois 300. Of course, Saturday night, you've got the City SC taking the pitch. The hottest game so far this year. They take the pitch, it'll still be around 90 degrees, but it's a little less humid this weekend, and there'll be a bit more of a breeze. So we should be able to get at least slightly better air quality in here. Not sure how long that'll last, though, going into next week, because, again, we're still in an overall dry pattern, and we probably have another week and a half before any widespread rain shows up on our door.
And go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was going to say we really need it, but then I'm sure that steam bath is inevitable.
Yeah, eventually it's coming, yes.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Let's get to Frank with what's next in sports.
City SC is making a statement, Kobe Brown has made a decision, and Mike Matheny on Hit and Run has a thought on how some women have approached him over the years. I got you now, don't I? Ann's finally going to watch a sportscast. See you in 2 minutes.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
What City SC is doing in their expansion year would be like if you got some Mizzou journalism grad right off the stage and you gave him my job and he or she did really well. Actually, That's a bad example. Anybody could do my job. But anyway, they are really good, and they get ready to play Houston this weekend, and they're in second place in the Western Conference. They're ahead of 12 teams who've been at it for years, and they have the best goal differential in the MLS, a plus 15. I asked Coach about it today.
It's just been an incredible journey this far of 13 games, but we look at it a little bit deeper, through the layers and say there's more of a foundation that's being built than maybe meets the eye. So for us, we're ambitious and we set internal, competition really high. We set our targets really high, and we keep driving.
Kobe Brown is keeping his name in the NBA draft. The 6'8" Mizzou senior averaged 16, shot 45 from 3 last season. He was first-team All-SEC and could have returned to Mizzou for one more year. Brown is hopeful to be a second-round pick. Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon will return to Illinois. Huge high school baseball matchup this evening in Alton. Edwardsville against O'Fallon in the sectional semifinals. And folks, we're packed for this one. All O'Fallon in the first. Will Milliard gets an RBI base knock, and then a little bit later, Camden Cox will smoke one for an RBI triple. The Panthers are fired up early on, but the Tigers pounce late. Riley Ifrig tees off on that pitch to start the comeback. Edwardsville goes on to win it 9-5 and keeps their season alive. They'll play for the sectional title this weekend. By the way, John Burroughs won today. They're in the state finals in Missouri. So we often play hit and run with a sports celebrity. It's rapid fire Q&A with no hedging allowed. Mike Matheny won 4 Gold Gloves as a player, and as a manager, he had a higher winning percentage than Tony La Russa. Let's play hit and run. The pitcher you couldn't hit.
Jamie Moyer.
The really good pitcher you could hit.
Randy Johnson.
Matt Morris' story about a near fist fight in 30 seconds.
Went out, told him he needed to get some things figured out. He told me that I needed to get off the mound, and he went on to say that we can handle this in the dugout, and I told him I didn't think that he was going to be able to get 3 outs to get us back into the dugout, and I thought he was going to punch me on the mound. We went at it down in the dugout. It was good. He actually came up and kissed me after with a beard, and that's a weird sensation.
Favorite restaurant in St. Louis?
Annie Gunn's.
One guy, one teammate in Cardinals history that you would allow your daughter to date if they were both single. Now, when I asked this question to everybody else, you were always the answer. Who would you allow your daughter to date, former teammate?
None of them.
The boldest approach by a female to get to know you?
They're bold. Approached, even with my family, and slipped a note or something that's pretty bizarre. I always told our guys, just remember, the reason they're most attracted to you is because of that uniform, so don't fool yourself.
No baseball in this world, you would have done what?
I was actually planning on going to the military and then becoming a law officer.
How would you like to be remembered by St. Louis fans?
I think this was said about Branch Rickey. Actually, I know it was. I was given a big book about him, and his story is just incredible of what he did to help the game, and obviously with Jackie Robinson. But how he was known was a ferocious gentleman. And I thought that was one of the greatest titles anybody could ever be given, because when you got to compete, we do this like it means something, and with a fire, and with a fight. And I do believe, looking back, the teams that I was able to manage and be a part of, that was something that was never a question.
I will always respect and love Mike Matheny.
Hold on. When was the most aggressive way you've been hit on, Frank?
Never.
I knew that answer was coming. Thanks, Frank.
It's the perfect combo you won't find on the menu. Pizza and a pet. How Emos can help you bring home a 4-legged friend. St. Louis is being honored as one of the 26 best zoos in the country. That's according to U.S. News and World Report's travel experts. Free admission and award-winning conservation efforts help secure its spot on the list. The zoo was also named as one of the top things to do in St. Louis. The St. Louis Zoo is home to more than 16,000 animals.
A pair of horses at Long Meadow Ranch gave birth to 2 healthy foals within weeks of one another. The 2 fillies are named Prada and Chanel, staying in line with the mom's designer names, Hermes and Fendi. The mothers were 2 of the 6 horses rescued by the Humane Society Animal Cruelty Task Force back in late February.
Emo's Pizza is partnering with the Stray Rescue of St. Louis to help you bring home a furry friend. Emo's is helping to waive the pet and adoption fees. The shelter has reached maximum capacity. It's currently on a rescuing freeze right now, so Emo's will cover the $100 adoption fee for cats and dogs over 6 months old for the entire month of June.
And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Jimmy's guests tonight include Katie Holmes and Danielle Deadweiler. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. and have a great tomorrow.